Have you ever walked through your garden after a violent summer thunderstorm and noticed something peculiar? The plants aren't just watered. They look transformed. Their green is deeper, their stems are more turgid, and within 48 hours, they seem to have undergone a week's worth of growth. Most of us attribute this to the nitrogen in the rainwater, and while that plays a part, it isn't the whole story. The real secret lies in the lightning. The Earth is a giant electrical circuit. At any given moment, there are thousands of storms raging across the globe, acting as batteries that pump electricity into the atmosphere. We live in a sea of energy, an invisible, silent, and free reservoir of power that floats just inches above our soil. For over a century, a group of visionary scientists and farmers knew how to harness this power using nothing more than simple copper wires. They called it electroculture. They grew cabbages the size of umbrellas and potatoes that could feed a family for a week, all without a single ounce of manure or chemical fertilizer. Yet, if you look at modern agricultural textbooks, you will find no mention of it. Today, we are going to ask the dangerous question: why was this science buried? And more importantly, how can you use a simple piece of copper to triple your harvest and reclaim the health of your soil? The archives of the forbidden harvest. To understand where we are going, we must look at where we were. In the 1920s, a French inventor named Justin Christofleau sent shockwaves through the agricultural world. He didn't invent a new chemical. He invented a terrestrial magnetoelectric fertilizer. It was essentially an antenna, a complex arrangement of copper and zinc pointed toward the sky. His results were so spectacular they were deemed impossible. In his gardens in France, he produced leeks of monstrous proportions and fruit trees that bore double their usual yield. The French government and various agricultural societies were stunned, but Christofleau wasn't a sorcerer. He was a man who understood that plants are electrical organisms before they are chemical ones. 2.2. The suppression of energy. So, why don't we see these antennas in every field today? The answer is as much about economics as it is about science. Following the World Wars, the world found itself with a massive surplus of ammonium nitrate, the primary ingredient in explosives. Global industries realized that this same chemical could be sold as synthetic fertilizer. A chemical-based agriculture is an industry of dependency. You must buy the seeds, then the fertilizer, then the pesticides to kill the bugs that are attracted to the weakened, chemically fed plants. Electroculture, on the other hand, is an industry of autonomy. A copper wire is a one-time investment that lasts decades. It costs nothing to run. It cannot be patented, and it cannot be sold in a bag. Thus, the science was relegated to the fringes, labeled as pseudoscience by those who stood to profit from the chemical status quo. 2.3. The patent paradox: why technology disappears. If you search the archives of the early 20th century, you will find a graveyard of patents dedicated to electrical fertilization. These were not the works of madmen, but of engineers who saw the efficiency of the Earth's natural circuits. The disappearance of electroculture was not due to a failure of results, but a failure of monetization. In the industrial model, a product must be consumable to be profitable. Synthetic fertilizers are the perfect product. They are used once, they wash away with the rain, and they create a biological vacuum that requires more product next season. Electroculture, by contrast, utilizes permanent infrastructure. Once a copper antenna is installed or a magnetic alignment is set, it performs its function for decades without further input. This created a patent paradox. The technology was too effective and too simple to be integrated into a capitalist agricultural system that thrives on recurring costs. This led to a strategic pivot in university funding. Research grants were shifted toward chemical soil science, effectively starving the study of bioelectricity until it vanished from the academic lexicon. The physics of the atmospheric engine. 3.1. The Earth as a capacitor. Let's strip away the mystery and look at the physics. Our planet is essentially a spherical capacitor. The ground holds a negative charge, while the ionosphere, the upper layer of our atmosphere, holds a massive positive charge. Between the sky and the ground, there is a constant potential gradient. Under normal conditions, there is a voltage of about 100 to 150 volts for every meter of height. This means the air around your head is hundreds of volts positive compared to the ground beneath your feet. Plants have evolved over millions of years to live within this electrical field. They are, in essence, biological antennas. Their pointed leaves and jagged edges are designed to wick electricity from the air. 3.2. The copper antenna, a biological catalyst. When we place a copper wire on a wooden stake and point it toward the sky, we are creating a lightning rod for life. Copper is a diamagnetic material. It interacts with the Earth's magnetic field in a way that creates a gentle, subtle flow of electrons. When this antenna is connected to the soil, it increases the ion exchange capacity of the Earth. In simple terms, nutrients in the soil like phosphorus, potassium, and magnesium are often locked in a solid state. The microcurrents provided by the copper antenna act like a key, vibrating these minerals into an ionic state that the plant's roots can effortlessly absorb. You aren't adding fertilizer. You are making the existing minerals in the earth available. 3.3. The mycorrhizal connection. The most profound effect of electroculture isn't on the plant itself, but on the soil's microbiology. Beneficial fungi, known as mycorrhizae, are highly sensitive to electrical frequencies. These fungi form a symbiotic web that connects the roots of different plants, sharing water and information. Studies in electroculture have shown that these fungal networks thrive in a stimulated electrical field. They grow faster and reach further. By installing a copper antenna, you are essentially supercharging the soil's internet. This leads to a massive increase in root mass. A plant with a massive root system is a plant that can survive heat waves, resist pests, and produce fruit with a mineral density far superior to anything found in a supermarket. 3.4. The telluric pulse, ground currents, and earth resonance. Beyond the atmospheric ions, there is a second, equally powerful component to electroculture: telluric currents. These are low-frequency electric currents that flow underground, generated by the Earth's magnetic field and solar radiation. When we install electroculture tools, we aren't just catching energy from the sky, we are tapping into the pulse of the Earth. This underground current is the reason why ancient civilizations often built their most fertile terraces over geological fault lines or areas with high quartz content. Quartz is piezoelectric. It generates electricity under pressure. By using copper stakes, we create a preferential path for these telluric currents to rise toward the surface. When these currents meet the root zone, they stimulate the proton pump within the plant's cell membranes. This accelerates the movement of water molecules through the plant's vascular system, the xylem and phloem, via a process called electroosmosis. This means the plant can transport nutrients faster and with less effort, even in heavy or compacted soils where traditional plants would struggle to breathe. The biological frequency of health. 4.1. The theory of Philip Callahan. Dr. Philip Callahan, an entomologist and philosopher, proposed a revolutionary idea: that insects do not attack plants randomly. They are attracted to infrared signatures. A plant that is stressed or malnourished emits a low-frequency signal, a signal of decay. This acts as a beacon for pests like aphids and locusts, nature's clean-up crew. A plant stimulated by electroculture, however, has a high-energy signature. Its Brix level, the sugar and mineral content of its sap, is significantly higher. Callahan discovered that healthy, electrically stimulated plants are practically invisible to pests. The bugs simply don't recognize them as food. When you use copper, you aren't just growing more food, you are building a biological shield that eliminates the need for toxic sprays. 4.2. The Bose Effect. Plants are feeling. We must also acknowledge the work of Sir Jagadish Chandra Bose, who proved that plants have a nervous system. They respond to light, touch, and, crucially, electrical stimulation. By providing a constant, gentle flow of atmospheric energy, we are reducing the biological stress of the plant. In a standard garden, a plant spends a massive amount of its internal energy trying to mine the soil for minerals. In an electroculture garden, that energy is gifted to the plant. This surplus energy is then redirected into the production of essential oils, vitamins, and secondary metabolites. This is why electroculture produce doesn't just look bigger, it tastes more intense. It is a return to the nutrient density of our ancestors' food. 4.3. The Brix Scale and the Physics of Flavor. The most tangible proof of electroculture's power isn't found in a laboratory, but on the tongue. To understand why electro-stimulated produce tastes superior, we must look at the Brix level, a measurement of the dissolved solids, sugars, amino acids, and minerals in the plant's sap. A chemically grown plant is often hydrated but hollow. It is pumped full of nitrogen, which forces the plant to take in massive amounts of water, resulting in a large but flavorless fruit. Electroculture, however, increases the specific gravity of the plant's fluids. Because the copper antenna provides the energy for the plant to complete its carbon cycle more efficiently, the plant produces a higher concentration of complex carbohydrates and terpenes. These compounds are the source of flavor and aroma. When a tomato has a high Brix level, it doesn't just taste sweeter, it has a thicker mouthfeel and a higher mineral content, calcium, magnesium, and iron. Furthermore, high Brix plants have a lower freezing point, making them naturally resistant to early frosts. By tuning the electrical environment, we are essentially forcing the plant to become a more efficient alchemist, converting sunlight and minerals into a dense, medicinal form of food that the modern world has almost entirely forgotten. Implementation. The architecture of the antenna. The beauty of this method is its simplicity. You do not need an engineering degree to triple your harvest. You need three things: a wooden stake, a length of pure copper wire, and an understanding of direction. 5.1. The atmospheric antenna, the Lakhovsky coil. Take a wooden pole, about 2 to 3 meters high. Wrap a thick gauge of copper wire around it in a clockwise direction as you move toward the sky. Leave about 30 centimeters of wire sticking up at the top, frayed out like a small brush to catch the atmospheric ions. At the bottom, bury the wire about 15 centimeters into the soil, circling the base of your plants. 5.2. The north-south alignment. The Earth's magnetic field flows from north to south. By aligning your copper wires or Lakhovsky rings in a north-south orientation, you are aligning your garden with the planet's natural current. For a senior gardener, this is the ultimate set-and-forget system. There is no digging, no heavy lifting of fertilizer bags, and no complex maintenance. The sky provides the energy, the copper provides the path, the earth provides the fruit. 5.3. The spiral condenser, harnessing vortex energy. To further amplify the atmospheric intake, advanced practitioners utilize the spiral condenser technique. Instead of a straight wire, the copper is wound into a precise Fibonacci spiral or a vortex shape at the top of the antenna. This geometry isn't for aesthetics. It is designed to create a localized magnetic vortex. As wind passes through these copper spirals, it creates tiny friction-based electrical charges known as the triboelectric effect. This slightly ionizes the air immediately surrounding the antenna, creating a halo of enriched oxygen and nitrogen ions that settle onto the leaves during the morning dew. By utilizing these sacred geometric shapes, you are essentially building a passive ion generator, that works 24 hours a day, even when there is no storm in sight. This ensures a consistent supply of electric rain for your garden, maintaining peak growth levels regardless of the season. The epilogue: Reclaiming the Energetic Commons. We are at a crossroads in human history. We can continue down the path of chemical dependency, poisoning our soil and our bodies for the sake of corporate profit. Or we can look back at the giants like Christoflo and Callahan and realize that the answers have been hiding in plain sight, literally floating in the air above us. Electroculture is more than a gardening technique. It is an act of rebellion. It is a declaration that the most important resources for life, energy, vitality, and health, cannot be owned, patented, or sold. They belong to the commons. Tomorrow morning, go out into your garden. Don't look at the weeds or the pests as enemies to be fought with chemicals. Look at your garden as a living battery. Place a piece of copper in the earth. Connect the sky to the soil. And then, step back and watch as the forgotten science transforms your world. One blossom at a time. The energy is there. It has always been there. It is time we finally let it in.